We're going to solve equations with variables on each side. We're going to solve each equation. First of all, if there's nothing in front of a variable or a letter, a known number, it's assumed to be a 1, because like this is 1s here. So you're going to need that in a minute. Now the first thing you want to do is get your variables or your letters together. So I need to move one of these s's. I usually move the smallest one because it has me deal with less negative signs. But you've got a 6 and a 1. The smallest number is 1. If you move that 1s over, you leave yourself with nothing over here. You don't want to ever do that to yourself because it becomes very confusing very quickly. So I'm going to choose in this situation to move the 6s. Now you always move things by doing opposites. So this is no sign in front, that's a positive 6s. So the opposite of positive 6s is negative 6s. So I'm going to put a negative 6s on each side. Okay, 6 take away 6 is 0. In other words, the opposites cancel. So I've got a negative 10 equals 1 take away 6 is negative 5s. Okay, now you've got to get your variable, your letter by itself, so you've got to see what's happening to it. If it's stuck together like this, it's being multiplied. Negative 5 times s. The opposite of times is divide. So I divide both sides by whatever is stuck to my letter. Now with fractions, anything on the top can cancel with the exact same thing on the bottom. So what happens here is these two negatives cancel. So a fraction is division. I just have 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 2 equals a negative 5 on top cancels with the negative 5 on the bottom. So now your s is by itself. And some people think that the variable always has to come out front. It doesn't. It can come after the equal sign as well. Okay, on the next one, I have my r's that I need to get together. I have an 8 and a 4. The smallest one is 4, so I'm going to move it. The opposite of positive 4r is negative 4r. So I'm going to subtract 4r from both sides. Okay, 8r take away 4r is 4r. Bring down your equal. Opposites cancel. Bring down your negative 16. Okay, this is 4 times r. The opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4. Top will cancel with bottom. R equals, I have a negative on the top, but there's no negative on the bottom to cancel it out, so it stays negative. And 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, the next one, I have a negative 3 and a positive 2. Negative 3 is smaller, so I'm going to move it. I would have moved it anyway because I don't want to leave nothing over here with the 2. So the opposite of negative 3u is a positive 3u. So I'm going to add 3u to both sides. Bring down the 25. Opposites cancel. Bring down the equal. 2u plus 3u is 5u. This is 5 times u. The opposite of times is divide. So divide both sides by 5. You're always dividing by whatever stuck to your variable or your letter. 25 divided by 5 is 5 equals, top cancels with bottom, u. Okay, I don't want to move the 16 because that leaves me with nothing, so I will move the 14t. The opposite of positive 14t is negative 14t. So I'm going to subtract 14t from both sides. Opposites cancel. Negative 8 equals 6 take away 14 is a negative 8t. Okay, this is negative 8 times t. The opposite of times is divide. So divide both sides by negative 8. Negatives cancel. 8 divided by 8 is 1. Top cancels with bottom, so I've got an answer of 1. Okay, this k has a 1 in front of it. And it's the smallest k, so I'm going to move it. The opposite of positive 1k is negative 1k. So I'm going to put a negative 1k on both sides. Opposites cancel. Bring down my 20. You just go in order. Bring down the equal. 9k take away 1k is 8k. Bring down the negative 4. Now if you take your finger and cover up your letter, I'm going to use the white out because I can't just take my finger here. Cover up your letter. It tells you what you need to get rid of first. You need to get rid of that negative 4. So the opposite of negative 4 is positive 4. So I am going to add 4 to both sides. (20 plus 4 is 24) equals 8k. Opposites cancel. Okay, now you still don't have your variable by itself, so keep going. This is 8 times k because it's stuck together. So the opposite of times is divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Top cancels with bottom. You've got your answer. Okay, there's a 1m here. Okay, 1 is smaller than 11, so I'm going to move it. The opposite of positive 1 is negative 1. You got to move the whole thing. Take the letter with it. Okay, 11m take away 1m is 10m. Bring down the plus 13. Bring down the equal. Opposites cancel. Bring down the 23. Okay, subtract 13 from both sides, because the opposite of positive 13 is negative 13. Bring down your 10m. You always deal with your letter last when you're isolating the variable. Opposites cancel. 23 take away 13 is 10. This is 10 times m. The opposite of times is divide. Divide both sides by 10. Top cancels with bottom. M equals 10 divided by 10 is 1. I'm going to move a negative 4b. The opposite of negative 4b is positive 4b. So I'm going to add 4b to both sides. Notice I stick it in under the b columns. Okay, opposites cancel. Bring down negative 5 equals 3b plus 4b is total of 7b plus 9. If you take your finger and cover up the 7b, you've got to get rid of a positive 9. The opposite of positive 9 is negative 9. So I'm going to put a negative 9 on both sides. Negative 5 and a negative 9 is a negative 14. Bring down your equal. Bring down the 7b. Opposites cancel. This is 7 times b. The opposite of times is divide. There is a negative on the top, but there's no negative on the bottom to cancel it out, so it stays negative. 14 divided by 7 is 2, equal, opposites cancel, b. The next one, this is a negative 1y here. I'm going to move it. The opposite of negative 1y is positive 1y, so I'm going to add 1y to both sides. 6y plus 1y is 7y. Bring down your negative 1. Bring down your equal. Bring down your 27. Opposites cancel. Take your finger and cover up the 7y. You have to get rid of a negative 1. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1, so I'm going to add 1 to both sides. 7y. Opposites cancel. 27 plus 1 is 28. This is 7 times y. The opposite of times is divide. Divide both sides by 7. 28 divided by 7 is 4. Okay, this is a 1.6h, I believe. Okay, the opposite of positive 1.6h is negative 1.6h. I'm going to subtract 1.6h from both sides. Opposites cancel. Bring down my negative 72 equals 4, take away 1.6. It's easier if you think of money, like $4 take away $1.60. That would be 2.40, or just 2.4 minus 30. I'm going to add 30 to both sides. A negative 72 and a positive 30 is a negative 42. Equals, oops, I forgot my variable, my h, sorry about that. I'm going to call it 2.4h. You don't need the 0. Opposites cancel. This is 2.4 times h, so the opposite of times is divide. Divide both sides by 2.4. And you get negative on the top, but no negative on the bottom to cancel it out. 42 divided by 2.4 is 17.5. Top cancels with bottom. This next one, I don't want to move the negative 8z because that leaves me with nothing. So I will move a negative 3z. So the opposite of negative 3z is positive 3z. I'm going to add 3z to both sides. So I get 8.5. Opposites cancel, equals negative 8 plus 3 is a negative 5z. Okay, this is negative 5 times z. The opposite of times is divide. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 5. Top on, no negative on the top to cancel the one on the bottom, so it just stays negative. Okay, 5 goes into 8 one time with 3 left over. 5 goes into 35, 7. So negative 1.7, top cancels with bottom, equals z. The next one, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. (10x) take away 5x is 5x. Bring down the plus 8. Bring down the equal. Opposites cancel. Bring down negative 3. Okay. This is adding 8, so the opposite of plus 8 is minus 8. Adding and negative are the same thing. A minus and negative, subtracting and negative. Bring down the 5x. Opposites cancel. Equals a negative 3 and a negative 8 is a negative 11. This is 5 times x. The opposite of times is divide. Now I'm not going to change this to a decimal. I can just leave it as an improper fraction. You do need to make sure your fraction is simplified, which this one is. So I'm going to leave my answer as negative 11 over 5. This next one, I'm going to add 3d to both sides. Bring down the 16. A negative 7 and a positive 3 is a negative 4d. Bring down the equal. Opposites cancel. 2. Take your finger and cover up the negative 4d. Have to get rid of a positive 16. The opposite of positive 16 is negative 16. So I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. So negative 4d equals negative 12. No, I'm sorry. 16 take away 2 is 14. Divide both sides by negative 4. Top cancels with bottom. Okay, negative cancels with negative. 14 over 4. Those are both even numbers, so you can cut them in half. So half of 14 is 7, and half of 4 is 2. So 7 over 2 is the answer.